Hi there, I'm Mike, and what I have for you today is Star Wars The Black Series 2017 checklist. So if this is your first time watching one of my checklist videos, I kind of break these down in different sections. I start off with the numbered carded releases, then I jump into like any specialty figures, then I jump into exclusive figures. So that's kind of the order in which I'm going to talk about these things. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the figures that came out in 2017. Starting with the regular numbered box releases. Carded releases, some kind of release with a number on it, you know what I mean, the main series. So the first wave to come out in 2017 supposedly came out in February of 2017, but I never once saw them in stores. There was only 2 new figures. And they are kind of leftovers from Rogue One, which was the end of 2016, starting with number 36, Chirrut Imwe. I've actually reviewed both of these figures, so if you want to go and watch those, I'm not going to do a full review here. I'm just going to say that I like him. He's good. The weird part about these is that I never saw them in stores. I ordered mine on entertainmentearth.com, which is one of my go-to websites for buying Black Series figures online, especially the hard to find ones. Usually Entertainment Earth has it and not too much more. I think these are like 22 bucks a pop. Now, obviously when I bought them, that was a good deal because they weren't really readily available. Now, if you pop into your local 5 and below, all of the figures that should have been in stores are there now. If you have one close to you, they've got these guys sitting on the shelves for 5 bucks. The box though, I want to talk about the box. The box for this one is unique. First of all, it's missing the window on the top. As far as I know, this is the first box like this that was missing the window. Secondly, it actually has the Star Wars The Black Series logo on the top. And the next one, number 37, Baze Malbus. It's hard not to talk about these as a pair because they're a pair in the movie. They came out as a pair in the line. Number 37, Baze Malbus, we'll just continue on. They both have this logo on the top and none of the other ones do. All of them are missing the window here, but these are the only 2 that have the Star Wars The Black Series logo on the top. And I like this. I don't know why they didn't do this ever again. So both these figures were supposed to release the beginning of 2017. I never saw them. I had to order them online. I didn't get them until like mid 2017. If you want to see my full thoughts on the figures, go watch the videos, but I like them. They're good. Moving on, the next wave came out sometime in the summer of 2017. So the first, I don't know, 4 or 5 months of 2017 was a barren wasteland. There was almost nothing coming out. Everything was kind of pushed into mid 2017 towards the end. So there's a lot of figures in a small amount of time because things are weird. Anyways, the next wave consisted of 4 new figures and the rest were all repacks of previous figures. The first one, number 38, is the Imperial Royal Guard. Again, I've reviewed all these figures on my channel, so if you want to go back and watch them, you can go and find them. I'm not going to put links or anywhere. I mean, you know how to use the internet, right? You can just type it in. You can figure that out. But he's good. Again, notice on the top, there's no Star Wars The Black Series logo, but everything else is pretty much the same. This is standard Phase 3 boxing. The only thing that really changed is just the top, whether or not it has a window or not, and whether it had that Star Wars The Black Series logo or not. And these don't. From here on out, that's it. They have the number and name on this side. They have a large superimposed name on the back with a smaller version here. We have a little kind of black silhouette and then a little blurb on the back. Great use of soft goods. Interesting detail underneath the figure, but again, my full thoughts in my review. Next, number 39, we have Lando Calrissian. Now, for some reason, I thought this figure was gonna have a cloth cloak. He didn't. Kind of threw me a little bit, but it's fine. It still works. The likeness isn't super spot on, especially now that we have the photoreal stuff, but it's still good. I found this one at GameStop. The rest of these, I found most of them through random ways. This one I bought on Amazon for a decent price. Actually, no, I think I paid like $23 or $24 for it because I just wanted Qui-Gon so much. He was on my top 10 wish list, and you might notice that mine has a cloak in here. That cloak was sent to me by a friend, Tony. He has a YouTube channel I might post somewhere. But he sent me a cloak to go with my Qui-Gon because he knows how much I want cloaks with my Jedi. It was very nice of him. So when I repackaged his figure, I just put the whole thing back in. And number 41 was Tusken Raider. And this, again, was actually sent to me by Tony, weirdly enough, but separately. He sent this to me as just like a gift. I think it was like a birthday gift or something. It was very nice of him to do. I really like this figure a lot. The amount of accessories you get with this, the cloth goods you get with it, it's very nice. It's a good release. I like this figure a lot. So moving on, the next wave is actually the first wave for Force Friday, which was, the big release before Episode 8 came out. It was a midnight release. I was there in line at Toys R Us with some friends. It was a lot of fun. It was a good night. And actually, fun fact, this next wave, they didn't have at Toys R Us. So I was there, I was first in line, and they didn't have any of these figures. I had to actually go to, I think, Walmart the next day, but it was cool because they had giant pallets of these figures, so it wasn't hard to find. and that's nice. So let's go ahead and take a look at them. Starting with Hera Syndulla, another addition to the Rebels crew and a welcome addition. This was one of the best figures of the year. The amount of detail that goes into it. The only kind of downside is she only just comes with a gun. Now it's a little mini review because I actually haven't reviewed any figures from this wave whatsoever, and I feel really bad about that, but with all the goings on at the end of the year, just kind of skipped over this wave and I reviewed the rest of them. My bad. I might go back and review them. Let me know in the downstairs area in the comments if you want me to go back and review some of these older figures that I've missed. Now number 43 was Darth Vader, and I don't actually own this one. I'll get into why when I do talk about it later, but for now let's just move past it, okay? Next we have number 44, Rey in her Jedi training outfit. Calling it Jedi training is weird because when she wore this, she wore it after her Jedi training that she had in episode 8. She pulled a Luke in Empire Strikes Back and left before her training was complete. But this is the outfit she wore. It was basically a palette swapped version of her episode 7 outfit, which I always kind of thought was just a bummer. She's basically just a repaint of a previous figure. But she does come with her gun, which is nice. And the sculpting and paint is a little better. And she has a lightsaber from the get-go, but she has the same staff, which is weird because I don't think she ever actually used the staff. So it's definitely weird that she came with it now that I think of it. Next we have number 45, Kylo Ren. And this is the Kylo Ren as he appeared in episode 8 with his scar on his face and lightsaber and cloak and, you know, but with sans the helmet. Number 46 is Luke Skywalker, Jedi Master. So this is just Luke in his Jedi Master robes. He comes with a soft goods cloak and that's it. He's got a nice robot hand, but nothing else. No lightsabers, no nothing. Just old Luke in his cloak, and it's honestly a little disappointing. Even if you don't like The Last Jedi, and I'm fully expecting to get a lot of comments down in the downstairs area from people complaining about The Last Jedi. It's fine. If you want to do it, go ahead and vent. I actually liked The Last Jedi. I thought it was fine. But this could also be just an episode 7 Luke, because episode 7 Luke, he looked the same. It was just the same outfit. It's just kind of a bummer he doesn't come with anything. Moving on to number 47, we have Grand Admiral Thrawn. And this is an interesting one because it's sort of an addition to your Rebels crew because, well, not crew, but cast, I should say, because he is from Rebels. That's probably why they decided to put him in here. But for all the Legends fans out there, this is also, you know, Grand Admiral Thrawn's a pretty big part of the Legends canon. He's a blue-skinned Chiss, pretty famous Grand Admiral. Not many non-humans up in the upper echelon of the Empire, and he is one of the few, and he has a very strong tactical mind, and I definitely like this figure. I'm glad that I have him in my collection. And then rounding out with the Force Friday wave is number 48. This is the just Stormtrooper. It's a reissue Stormtrooper. It's the same Stormtrooper that's been released a couple times in the line now, but I bought another one because it's a Stormtrooper. You can't have too many Stormtroopers. Why not? So I bought this Stormtrooper to go with my other Stormtroopers so I could have more Stormtroopers without making myself feel like I'm buying doubles, because that's what I don't like. I don't like buying doubles. I don't like having the same character twice in my collection unless there's something different about it. If there's something different, that's different. But Stormtroopers are troop builders, and that's fine. You can just have a bunch. So next are the figures I picked up the night of Force Friday release. I believe it was September 1st, August 31st kind of time frame. I remember hanging out in front of Toys R Us, just chilling out and talking to some cool people. I met some really cool people that night. It was weird to, you know, walk down the Star Wars aisle and then see not the figures you're expecting, but it was a bigger surprise because I got figures I wasn't expecting, starting with number 49, Maz Kanata. Now, she was in The Last Jedi. When I bought this, I had no concept about how episode 8 related these are, because, you know, the Force Friday was supposed to be episode 8 related. This is mostly in episode 7. She is in episode 8, but only has like a hologram, and she has a jetpack. This doesn't have a jetpack, she's not a hologram, so it's mostly episode 7. But I've reviewed this figure, it's on my channel. I think I've reviewed all of these, so go watch that if you want to find more of my thoughts on this, but I like it. Number 50 in the wave is the Elite Praetorian Guard. Now, there were 3 of these released over time. This is the first one, it's part of the normal wave, and I really like these figures. They look cool. I think everyone that has seen the movie can agree that this scene was cool. These characters look cool. Moving on to number 51, we have Finn in his First Order disguise. This is the outfit that he wore when he got into the fight with Captain Phasma for the last time. You know, it's probably most people's least favorite parts of the movie. I like it still. Again, I said that. It's hard to really talk about these without commenting about that because it was so divisive among fans. And it's a decent likeness of John Boyega, I have to say that. Next we have number 52, General Leia Organa. This is how she appeared in episode 7. It's just a kind of older Leia, and up to this point, maybe the best likeness of Leia we had. All of the Leia likenesses up until here looked awful, and now it looks pretty good, but it's, you know, when she is an older, more seasoned person. And then the final figure of the wave is number 53, Poe Dameron. Now, a lot of these you can actually still find on shelves because they got repacked and people didn't buy them, things like that. But this at the time was the best Captain Poe Dameron. It's actually probably still the best Captain Poe Dameron we've got. But as time has gone by, my opinion on this one has lessened. Mostly just that with the advent of the face printing technology, what I used to think was a pretty decent face likeness is now no longer a very good face likeness. It's weird how your opinion of what older things look like worsens as newer and better things come out. When I was a kid, the graphics in video games looked amazing, but when I go back and play them now, I think they look awful because I'm used to what passes for video games now. And then the last wave of 2017 in the regular carded line were 3 figures, of which I only have 2, and I'll get into why. First, the one that I don't have is number 54, Supreme Leader Snoke. I just didn't buy it because I bought a different one, and I'll get into all of that, but I don't own that one. But moving on to number 55, we have Rose Tico. Resistance Tech Rose, I guess is, you know, what that is. I actually really like this figure. I gave her a pretty positive review and I stick by it. I think she looks really good. Although now again with the better face printing, I think they probably could have pulled off a better likeness of Kelly Marie Tran. And then number 56, a figure that I was not expecting to like and ended up absolutely loving is Jana Solo. She is a Legends figure. There's a couple Legends figures that came out this year and they're all marked Legends, which is kind of nice. But she is just amazing. She ticks off all the boxes that I like. She's a flight suit, she's a Jedi, you know, she's got a gun, she's got a lightsaber, she's got a removable helmet, she's got a fantastic face sculpt. Even by today's standards, I think they could have made her face look a little bit more lifelike now with the better shading and face printing they've got. But even for back then, since she doesn't have to match a character precisely, she looks pretty good. She's easily one of my favorite figures in the line, hands down, even to this day. So that's it for the regular carded series. Now, 2017 was the 40th anniversary for Star Wars A New Hope, and to celebrate that, Hasbro decided to repack a bunch of figures into new retro packaging. Full disclosure, I didn't buy most of them, and the reason for that is I'm an opener. You can see my figures over here, and once they're out of the package, most of them really weren't any different from the regular one. It was a great way for fans to go back and repurchase figures they missed the first time around because they weren't buying them at the time, and by the time they decided they want to buy Star Wars The Black Series figures, they were all too expensive. So I'm glad that Hasbro did this, but it's also why I don't own most of them, because I have the originals, and there's really no point in buying them unless I want to keep them in the cards, and I'm not going to keep them in the cards. Let's take a look at the ones that I do have, and I'll talk about the ones that I don't. The line kicked off around April with this release. This is the Darth Vader Early Bird Special Pack. If you look hard enough, you could probably still find these hanging around. You could probably pick them up at a really good cost. This is originally 40 bucks. It's basically 20 for the figure and 20 for the stand. Too much money. If you can get it for 20 or 30 or even less than that probably nowadays, I highly recommend it. Although, you know, me being a collector, I don't mind paying actual retail price for it because I'm gonna buy it anyway. Now, this is the reason why I didn't have the Darth Vader figure in the previous one, because this came out first and I bought this because I didn't know if they were gonna release it in the regular line. It was something new and I wanted it right away. Plus, I actually liked the stand. I wanted the stand. I wanted to display it on my shelves. So this Darth Vader is A New Hope. He has his overcloak and he is maybe the best Star Wars The Black Series figure released ever. You can't really see it, but the cards in here are retro style. They look like they did the old Kenner cards back in the day. It comes with the early bird specials, and basically what was happening is all these figures, these are the first 12 Star Wars figures released in the 70s, when, you know, back when Power of the Force and the little 3 3/4 inch. So what they wanted to do was kind of recreate that, and they were going to re-release all of these figures on those specialty cards. So let's take a look at the ones that I got. The 40th anniversary figures are broken up in 2 waves. In wave 1, we had Obi-Wan Kenobi, Han Solo, R2-D2, and Princess Leia. Of all of those, Han, R2, and Obi-Wan were exactly the same. Other than being the card that they came on, they weren't really any different from the ones that came out originally. They didn't have better face sculpts, they didn't have anything else. The Luke, I think, actually did have a different finish on him, the farm boy Luke, so he wasn't as waxy looking, I think. I still didn't pick them up because I didn't like that figure so much. I already hated buying it the first time, so I decided to pass on that. But the one I did buy was the Princess Leia. And again, this is kind of how the card looked. You have the picture from the movie on here. You've got it on a big blister card, which is how figures used to come way back in the day. I don't like these because you can't reseal them like you can on the new ones. So what I do is I actually cut the sides and bottom, and I can just slip the tray out. On the back, we have sort of a classic what the Star Wars backs used to look like. Again, it's a fun recreation of this whole thing. I thought it was a great idea, and if I were the kind of person to collect figures in a box and leave them there, I would have bought them all. But I'm not. I opened them, and in which case most of them are pointless for me to rebuy. But this one I bought because, unlike the original 2016 Princess Leia that was this figure, who did not look like Princess Leia even a little bit. She didn't look like Carrie Fisher even one. This actually looked a lot more like Carrie Fisher. At the time, she looked what I would have considered pretty spot on. Now, with the better face printing and stuff, I think they could do better, but I don't want them to, at least not yet. We have so many other figures, I would much rather them re-release than having to buy a third version of this figure. So Hasbro, if you're watching, leave this one for a while. Now, the second wave that came out like a month or so later consisted of C-3PO, which up until then was only available as a Walgreens exclusive, so it's kind of nice him getting a wider release. The Stormtrooper, which was a repack of the Stormtroopers, and that's one that I would have bought had I found him for a good price, but I couldn't find him for a good price, so I never bought it. But that's actually the one regret from 2017, that I never picked up another Stormtrooper, because again, you can't have too many Stormtroopers. I would have loved to have another one and another reason to buy another one. They released Chewbacca, which is the same Chewbacca that came out in Phase 2. And then they released the Tusken Raider, which was almost a simultaneous release from the regular Carter Black series. I never saw him in stores, or else I might have bought another Tusken Raider, because again, you can't have too many Tusken Raiders. They're just sort of army building characters. But I never saw him in the 40th anniversary, and now it's pretty much impossible. So that's fine. Now, there are two, though, that I did pick up. Number one was the Jawa. And again, this is kind of what he came with. And I did review this figure on my channel, so if you want to go back and look at that. At the time, this was the only Jawa that had been released. They had never come out with a Jawa before. He wasn't a repack. He was a brand new figure in the 40th line to Black Series in general. I had to buy him because he wasn't a repack. He was new. And then the same thing with the Death Squad Commander. This was another figure that was part of the original 1970 whatever release, but then they hadn't released this in the regular line yet. So I had to buy one of these because he was a new figure. Now in 2018, both of these would see a release in the regular line, and I'll get to there when we get to the 2018 checklist. But up until this, these were the only ways you could get this figure. Now before we move on, I have two more 40th anniversary figures to talk about. One I don't own and one I do own. The first one is the Star Wars Celebration exclusive Luke Skywalker in his X-Wing outfit. It came on a foil card, very shiny, very nice. It came in the same style. It was Luke in a blister bubble with the Luke on the back. He was a convention exclusive. He was a figure that had already come out. So it was great for people that didn't get him initially, but it also kind of sucked because he was another exclusive, so it was harder to find than normal. The second figure was a GameStop exclusive of all places, and this was R5-D4. And weirdly enough, just like the Luke, he's not part of the initial 12 figures. He wasn't one of the first figures that came out in that original Power of the Force line. And he also, up until this point, this recording, 2019, January 2nd is when I'm recording this, he hasn't been released in the regular line. So this GameStop exclusive R5-D4 was the only way to buy this figure in the regular line. It's really weird. I don't know why. I don't want to say he sucks, but for the same price as all the other figures, he's just a accessoryless R5 unit. It's kind of a bummer, but also you have to have him if you're a completionist. So moving on, before we get to the exclusives, we did have some unique releases. There's sort of the return of the vehicle packs. Up until this, the only real vehicle in the Phase 3 series had been the gigantic TIE Fighter. So they kind of focused on smaller ones, starting with Star Wars The Black Series number 2, Luke Skywalker and his land speeder. This is the X-34 land speeder. It comes with a very nice land speeder and a Luke action figure. Now that Luke action figure for the most part is the same Tatooine Luke we got before, but he comes with more accessories, which is great. Would have helped a lot with the other figure. He comes with his floppy hat, comes with his poncho, comes with a lightsaber, Comes with binoculars. Oh, it comes with this super long gun. I really like this figure. It's a great display piece. The land speeder looks great, and he came out on Force Friday, so in September 1st or whatever. He wasn't hard to find. In fact, if you waited long enough, you could get this is retail for 60. You could get it down to 20 or 30. So if you really want him, I'm sure he's still out there and available to buy. And then along with that, number 3 was Rey and her speeder. Now this was all unique. So the speeder is fantastic. It looks like her fudgesicle. I really like the design of it. It's very junky. And the figure, unlike the other Rey figure that came out with episode 7, this one has soft goods, which is nice. It comes with the same staff, but it comes with a backpack, her scavenger backpack, and it comes with a little face thing, and her face is covered, so it looks like she should when she's on her bike instead of just a regular Rey figure, which they could have just popped in here like they did with the Luke, and probably no one would have said anything, but this is unique in terms of what she looks like, and I think they did a good job with this. So now all we have left are the exclusive figures. Man, this is gonna take a long time. First, the exclusive figure that I have. Now, I typically don't buy the convention exclusive figures, and the reason for that is most of the time, in fact, pretty much every time, those figures get released in the regular line, usually missing something, but for the most part, they're all there. So I don't really feel super bad about missing out on convention exclusives, but this one is the one that I do have. It was a HasCon exclusive, and it was sent to me by a viewer. This is the Captain Rex. Now, eventually this did get released in the regular line at the beginning of 2018. The main difference is the 2018 one has the new face printing. This one does not. This one also comes with 2 extra guns that one did not. So there's a couple of other things in here, and it's got a different packaging. You can see the packaging here is very nice. I like it a lot, and I'm very thankful to that viewer. I think his name was RJ or DJ. Man, it's been so long. I'm sorry. I totally forgot your name if you're still watching this. But thanks for hooking me up with this. It was very nice of you. Now, as far as the other convention exclusives that I don't have, I've already talked about one, which is the Star Wars Celebration Luke Skywalker in his X-Wing outfit. There also were a couple from San Diego Comic-Con. First, we had a Luke and Rey 2-pack. It was the same Luke and Rey that came out at Force Friday. The next San Diego Comic-Con exclusive was Luke Skywalker with a speeder, and the only difference there was the packaging it came in, and the paint job on the speeder was a lot better. And lastly, at San Diego Comic-Con, they released Grand Admiral Thrawn. Now this one is the same Thrawn that I got in the regular wave, but he came with a lot more stuff. He came in a huge package, and it came with a lot of great artwork. And if you don't know much about Thrawn, his whole thing is that he figures out strategies to beat people based on the kind of art they make. I've always thought it was very interesting, and I thought it was very cool that Hasbro decided to make a lot of this art to go with the figure. So those were all the convention exclusives. Next were specific store exclusives. Starting with this one, which was actually exclusive to a couple different stores. This is the Guards of Evil 4-pack. This came with a Senate Guard. It came with another Imperial Royal Guard, which is the exact same Imperial Royal Guard that we already got in the line. Next was the Emperor's Shadow Guard, which is a Legends figure, another Legends figure. He's basically the same as this guy, but black, and his staff has a lightsaber blade on it. And then lastly, we got a more different Elite Praetorian Guard. This one had a unique helmet and those cool little double knife things that can form into a single knife thing. All in all, this is a fantastic 4-pack, especially if you like the guard looks, which I do. This was actually an exclusive from a couple different stores. It was Barnes & Noble, GameStop, and Disney stores, so you can buy it from any one of those places. Since I've already talked about a GameStop exclusive, might as well keep rolling on that train. This is GameStop exclusive Inferno Squad Agent. This came out with the release of Battlefront 2. It's basically, I think, the character that you play as in Battlefront 2 story mode. I didn't play it. I honestly have no idea. It's basically a TIE fighter pilot with a couple subtle differences. And they have to be different enough to be unique. And the last GameStop exclusive of the year is this. Now this is falling apart in here because I didn't repackage it very well. But this is the reason why I didn't buy the regular carded Snoke. Because I knew if I was going to buy one, I'd want that stupid throne. And I'm super glad that I got this, honest. I really am. Even if you don't care about the figure, even if you don't care about episode 8, this throne has been worth its money just for the pictures that I could take of characters in the throne. It's a fantastic throne. It's a great piece. The next 2 store exclusives were both from Amazon. The first one was this First Order Stormtrooper kind of deluxe pack. It's in a very unique packaging. There's never been anything like this in the line. It's very weird. It has a slip cover and then kind of an opening Velcro door. And within here, I don't want to tilt it forward because everything will fall out, but it's basically a First Order Stormtrooper with just an absolute ton of accessories. And the reason I was looking forward to this the most is it has the accessories to create the Heavy Trooper, which was a trooper that I wanted. It was in my very first wish list. This is a cool buy, but it was 35 bucks, which is pretty expensive. Way too expensive to really troop build. And the last Amazon exclusive was this Elite Praetorian Guard. This was different from the other two that released. It has an even more different helmet from the carded one and the one in the 4-pack. He comes with 2 weapons. One, the sword, the little whip sword thing, although it doesn't whip, it's just a standard sword. And then a very long blade, like a very long pole arm. Next we have Target exclusives. There were 3 in 2017, although I'm gonna talk about 2 for now right here. The first one was the First Order Executioner. It came out at the very end of 2017 along with all the rest of the movies. He's basically a First Order Stormtrooper with a little bit different paint job and that Executioner kind of energy weapon thing. Next came out somewhere in the summer of 2017. It was the ACT driver. It's basically just the pilot of one of the big ACT, the big walking mech things. Next we have Walgreens exclusive Obi-Wan Kenobi Force Spirit. This is basically just the regular Obi-Wan Kenobi that came out in 2017, but blue and translucent. It comes in a very cool blue and black box instead of red. They did a very nice kind of pearlescent paint job on his face. Gives him a very ethereal look. Even his cloak is kind of a mesh blue. I really like this figure a lot. He looks great on the shelf. And next we have the Toys R Us exclusives. First in the summer we had Commander Gree get released. Everyone raved about this. I think he's fine. His paint job is pretty good. The only downside is with these stripes on his chest, it just looks like he's wearing suspenders to me, and it's kind of weird. But he's a very unique clone trooper, and he definitely belongs in your collection if you like collecting clone troopers. And then lastly, we have this 2-pack. This is the First Order Officer and Admiral Ackbar 2-pack from The Last Jedi. The First Order Officer is fine. It's nice having a generic officer in your First Order squad. This Ackbar is fantastic. I don't think he made my top 10 in 2017, but he was close. The face sculpting on this is immaculate. Now what I want them to do is take this and put him in his Return of the Jedi outfit and you're good. You can just keep the same head and just, you know, almost even the same body, just paint it white. And then lastly, finally, there were 3 unique figures released in 2017 that coincided with The Last Jedi. First, with the Target exclusive, Luke Skywalker with Ock-Bass. Now what's neat about this is that it's basically the same figure that came out in the regular line, but with some differences. He's got a much better paint job on him. It's not the same face printing that the newer figures have, but just a premium paint job on him. Secondly, he comes with an alternate robot hand that is made out of metal. So instead of being plastic, he's got a bit of die-cast metal in there. And then it comes with an Ock-Bass for him to stand on. Now, what's cool about this packaging is that it opens up and you can just kind of see the internal workings of that. You have the inside to kind of show you what's going on with the figure there, the differences, and you can pause that and read it if you want to. There's the figure itself. Now, while the original figure had the cloth goods robe, this one has cloth goods skirt on there as well. So they went a little bit more into the cloth goods instead of molded plastic. But that's it. I've done not a review of this, but a kind of an unboxing of it if you want to go look at that on my channel. Next was the same thing, but from Toys R Us. This is Toys R Us exclusive Rey Jedi Training with crate base. So again, the front kind of opens up here and you can see the difference is there. She has some soft goods instead of molded plastic. She's got a much better paint job. And again, she has some die-cast accessories. She has die-cast lightsaber hilt on top of the regular plastic lightsaber hilt. She comes with a die-cast gun. And then she comes with her standard kind of staff. Same release that we had before, but with a few differences. And the crate base that you can stand on. And lastly, and this happened to be the very last figure that I got from 2017. I think I got it at the beginning of 2018 though, and I got it from Toy Shiz. You might follow him on Instagram or his YouTube channel. He and I don't live that far from each other, and he bought 2 and got me one for basically what was retail price. And at the time, that was a big deal because this guy was impossible to find. Now, you can go to any Walmart and see like 20 of these on the shelf, and I think at one point they were going for like $7 a pop. But this is the same thing as before, but Walmart exclusive. It's basically the same Episode 8 Kylo Ren that we got before, but it comes with a lot of different stuff. Another reason I'm saving this for last is that this actually is a little unique. He comes with an alternate die-cast head which is something that the original figure didn't have. Also, his base isn't just a base, but actually connects to Snoke's throne, and it's intended to do that. And I think that that is pretty cool. His cloak is soft goods, but the rest of him isn't. You can see this, the scar on his face is a lot better, a lot more noticeable. His face has just a lot better paint. Yeah, all in all, this is a pretty good figure. I think the only downside I have to this is that the cape, being cloth, it doesn't have any kind of clasp around his neck. So that's it. Those are all the figures from 2017, from start to finish. They went all over the place. There are some Rogue One, there's some Last Jedi, there are a couple of prequels releases in there, there are a couple of original trilogy releases in there. You can see Hasbro starting to lean a lot more into exclusive territory rather than being in the actual line, which was pretty different. And then we had the unique releases from the 40th anniversary. All in all, 2017 was a pretty crazy year for the Black Series. And it's the year that my channel started to kind of get bigger because of the Black Series. So thank you, everybody, for supporting me over the years. I know I do non-Black Series stuff on here too, but at this point, I'm pretty much a Star Wars: The Black Series channel. I just kind of come to accept that, even though behind me is mostly Transformers. I love Star Wars too, so it's all good. But that's it for me. Let me know in the downstairs area what your thoughts were on the line. Did you like it? What were your favorites? What were your least favorites? Go ahead, like, share, subscribe. You know the normal YouTube stuff that people say at the end of every video. And that's it. Thanks for getting this far, and I'll see you later. Bye.